Hello and welcome back to the Battle Room. My name is Colin, and today I wanted to talk about the match I most recently played in on the official Pokemon stream. Now, I know to a lot of people this is a dream come true. This is something that when they start playing competitively, this is something they really want for themselves and their careers, to play on stream and to show off what they can do to the entire world. And I've been on stream a couple times, not to brag, but I've been on stream, and to me, I always see it as quite a detriment. It can really affect your tournament run in a negative way. Obviously, people have friends at home sharing information, so it can be really frustrating to show up on stream very early in the tournament. I showed up on round 1, so a lot of people might have some information going into the tournament when you play against them that you might not know they have, so it can be pretty annoying, but I still thought it was a very cool experience and something I wanted to talk about on this YouTube channel. So at Worlds, I brought a team consisting of Zacian, Kyogre, Thundurus, Shedinja, and Incineroar. And it was a team that my friend Raghav and I put a ton of work into. And obviously Series 12 is about to be over, so there's no point in really making a grand release of it, but my friend Raghav and I are going to do a team report video in the next coming days, and hopefully it'll be uploaded soon. But I still want to talk this match, and if you guys want to check out the team, it will be there eventually on my YouTube channel. But going into this tournament, I thought Shedinja was a fantastic call, but I also wanted to stick with the strengths of what I played with all year, which was Zacian Kyogre. So my opponent has a team consisting of Reshiram and Calyrex as their two restricteds, and it's a restricted pair I've never really played against. So going into this matchup, I was extremely nervous because it was just... I had never experienced it in practice, so I had to adapt on the fly. And obviously, as a good player, that's what you should be able to do. But it doesn't mean I wasn't super nervous about this matchup, especially because Laurie was a really good player and someone who really, I want to say, mastered Reshiram Calyrex. So something I really needed to be weary of going into this one. Before the match, I did expect to play Reshiram Calyrex, so I talked to my good friend Raghav and I said, "Yo, bro, what do I do? I have no clue what I'm supposed to do here. Help me. And he's like, "Yo, dude, he can't beat Grimmsnarl Instant. Just play him well, you'll be fine." And I was like, okay, I can play Grimmsnarl Instant. I've played them all year. I can do it here on the world stage. Not going to be an issue at all. In the video, you'll notice it was a little sweaty. The lights up there were really beating down on me. It was really obnoxious. They also took 30 minutes to set us up because they were doing a ton of intro stuff with the stream. So I didn't actually have, I was just sitting up there for a super long time. I'm sure a lot of my opponents actually did see my games because it took so long. And yeah, it was just a really stressful experience, just sitting up there round 1 of Worlds, exposing my team to the world, and just being super nervous to play on stream, because I actually don't think I've won on stream since 2017. Obviously, we didn't have events for 2 years because of COVID. But yeah, I was sweating a lot up there. I was a very sweaty person. I sweat a lot in normal. I don't know why I'm telling you all this, but I was very sweaty sitting on this Pokemon World stage. I did think I could win this matchup. I knew I needed to perform the best I could. And so I was confident that I could win this matchup, but I was still super nervous. I hate playing on stream. It always feels so nerve-wracking to be up there. So yeah, let's get into the game. So I opt to lead with the Incineroar plus Grimmsnarl lead. This is the lead that Raghav used against me a lot in practice with just various other teams, but it's a very strong lead if you're trying to look for a very defensive open. Obviously, you put a lot of pressure onto Dynamax Pokemon with the threat of Parting Shot and Screens, and you also put a lot of pressure on opposing physical Pokemon such as Grimmsnarl with Intimidate. So it's just a good, safe lead. I know that I'm putting pressure on potential Calyrex leads and Reshiram leads with this lead, so that was my main intention going into this. It was not a lead I use very often. I don't think I've ever used it in practice, but it seemed good in this situation, and I trust my boy Raghav with my life. So I have to open up with a Light Screen Parting Shot. It's a really safe play at diffusing a potential Max Alecki, because obviously we're playing with Dynamax. That's a very important thing to diffuse. The turn doesn't really go that great for me just because Spirit Break does just hit me for free, but I did Intimidate Grimmsnarl, so the damage there isn't actually that bad, but the situation is still not as good as it could be. I did kind of get played turn 1. It wasn't the most optimal outcome, but at the end of the day, I still got a screen up, and I'm still threatening Parting Shot in turn 2. Not much is changing here. Looking forward, because we presumably expect one of the restricteds in the back, if not both, and then maybe you drop one of the restricteds for Porygon 2, potentially. But personally, I always like to bring my restricteds. I'm going to set up Reflect here as well, just because I don't want Grimmsnarl just to be hitting me for free, because honestly, Laurie's in a really good position and can put a lot of threat and damage onto my Grimmsnarl for free. And Grimmsnarl honestly is a super strong Pokemon in this matchup. Scary Face, Screens, even Foul Play can be really strong into Calyrex. So it's super important to keep Grimmsnarl as healthy as possible. And Laurie opts to go into P2, so we know that one of the restricteds hasn't been brought, and we also know that Laurie has brought the most defensive Pokemon possible in Grimmsnarl and P2 to try and defuse my Zacian Ogre. I think P2 is also kind of a really good bring-in in my team because it does just beat Shedinja, and Shedinja is a big part of my team. It does well into Ice Horse, it does well into Alecki, so it's still a strong bring if I opt to bring it, but I didn't opt for that at all. I brought Zacian Kyogre in the back. But Zacian gets to come in here for free. Nothing really wants to switch into a Blade. Nothing wants to take Sacred Sword. So this is a pretty good position to bring in Zacian. And also, I read a potential Spirit Break there, so I don't want to bring in Kyogre. Zacian's perfect here. P2 is probably the biggest threat to my team, honestly. It's very hard for me to KO with Recover Spam, with potential Eerie Impulse. It actually can really cause me a lot of issues, especially with how long screens can last. It's even harder to get the KO on. So P2 is a huge priority for me to take out, but also potentially threatening KOs into Grimmsnarl can be very, very effective and important. I opt to switch into Incineroar here because I want to make sure that I am threatening Fake Out next turn onto this P2 so I can potentially look for a KO with it with Sacred Sword, or I can instantly set up a Parting Shot position onto their potential Calyrex if it were to come in on that Grimmsnarl slot. So that was the main intention of bringing Ince in there. They opt to go for Reflect, but I am still getting a free turn here with Zacian. We've done a lot of switching, not much damage has been dealt, but I do get a free Sacred Sword, which is pretty nice, honestly. Now I do have double screens up, they have Reflect up. It's just a very, very like I don't want to say a stall game, but like it's a very slow pace, like trading blow kind of game, right? Because there's screens on both sides, there's an Incineroar, and then there's Zacian Kyogre, and then Reshiram, who's just super bulky with the Assault Vest. So like actually dealing damage is very difficult in this case against this team. It can be very frustrating, and I think it's important to make sure that you remain calm and that you don't mess up turns and give your opponent free opportunities, because ultimately we're just trying to look for position opportunities to strike at our opponent and give us a more optimal position, like looking for a big max turn to really just upset the monotony of the battle. This turn I opt to risk Zacian. I risk my Zacian, I just leave it in there with no just a light screen, but I know my Zacian is incredibly bulky, so I know I can take a Blue Flare if I needed to. So I opt to get this free Parting Shutout. I do get it. I do take a lot of damage on an instant, but my Zacian is still basically full HP, which is fantastic for me. I do need to play my Pokemon really well. I need to navigate my Incineroar and Grimmsnarl just to be alive in case I need to deal with a potential max option later. It's important for them to be as healthy as possible. So Kyogre comes in here, setting the rain to protect Zacian in that way, and also is my big Maxmon. That turn was really good for me, because I did get a Blade onto Alecki, and now Alecki is less likely to max, and I think Max Alecki is a huge problem for my team. If you look at my team, you'll notice I have one resist, which is Shedinja, which could be a little bit problematic when you're playing against an amazing Alecki. So this turn I opt to max my Kyogre, because Kyogre is my main max here. I'm not maxing Incin or Grimmsnarl, and I can't max Zacian, so Kyogre is my max, and I don't want it to take like a free Volt Switch or Thunderbolt while I'm Baby Kyogre, because Baby Kyogre takes more damage. So I max right away here, trying to get the most out of my Kyogre turns to deal as much damage as possible. Knowing they don't have Calyrex is a huge sigh of relief though, because it means I don't have to play Incineroar. Incineroar isn't as valuable, I should say, as it would be if Calyrex were alive, and my Incineroar did take a lot of damage, so it is, you know, it's a blessing and a curse here, having Incineroar. Not seeing Calyrex is great, but also it does mean that I am a little bit, you know, I got to be a little bit more careful about just dealing with these three Pokemon that are out, especially this P2. So we're going to see this Volt Switch come through. Again, not too much damage. I have Light Screen and Assault Vest, and I maxed. These multipliers go extremely hard in this case, so I'm still extremely healthy with my Kyogre. And now I'm just getting free damage on whatever potentially comes in with a Sacred Sword or a Blade. It's a really difficult position for my opponent, just because Zacian is still just doing tons of damage, and it is actually incredibly safe because I do have both Light Screen up and the Rain, so I won't even take that much damage from Reshiram. So now we find out that my Kyogre is fast in Reshiram, which is kind of predictable, and I do crazy damage this turn because I do get a critical hit, and I do think this critical hit is super duper important to the pacing of the battle. Without it, Reshiram would have lived many more turns, would have been a big issue for me to deal with, and it just would have been harder to take out. Like, a critical hit is huge, especially onto an Assault Vested Pokemon that's their max. I think in this format, if you hit an opposing max with a potential critical hit, it can be huge. So I do get that. Thank you. Thank you, game. And now I'm in a really great position. But I am weary of a potential Scary Face or Thunder Wave onto my Zacian, followed up by a Max Flare. There's not much I can really do to dodge that outside of switching my Zacian out or protecting. So this situation is not perfect for me. Even though I did get a crit, I can easily win this game. I just need to navigate to a better position. So I do have to withdraw Zacian here. I don't want to protect, risk taking too much damage into Incineroar to take this Thunder Wave that I'm predicting could potentially come my way. Obviously, it might not. It could just be a Light Screener or something else or a Reflect. But, you know, it doesn't come through because my opponent doesn't have the move. So I didn't know this, but he has Fake Out, Screen, Spear Break, and I didn't know this in going into game 1. So I played around a potential move that didn't exist. And now Reshiram lives, because obviously I would have just Behemoth Blade killed the Reshiram there, because it was at 40 HP. It would have died to Blade. But instead I opt around and I dance around, and you know, I take a Max Flare here onto my Incineroar. But I do live that because I have the Rain and I have Screens. Multipliers go really hard in Pokemon. So now Incineroar lives. And now, you know, I still don't know if they have Thunder Wave. I'm still afraid of Thunder Wave. And now Reshiram is at 11 HP, which is a good thing for me because it is in range to a Fake Out. But I do figure, hey, I could Fake Out Reshiram here. Or I could just try to go for a free parting shot. Because in reality, I can just kill Reshiram with a Max Geyser. Obviously, Fake Out could kill Reshiram, but I think I'm just going to fire that Max Geyser into that slot. And my opponent actually decides to conserve the Reshiram, which, you know, I was shocked to see. I think it was just to dodge the Fake Out KO because they just wanted, because they could save it. And P2's not going to take any damage this turn. So I do opt to go for Max Geyser Parting Shot, which does put me into an even better position because I got the Rain up and I did this big damage onto P2. So now we're just chilling. Obviously, Reshiram is alive in the back with 11 HP, but I'm still in a pretty good position because I get to keep my Incineroar alive, because Incineroar at this point is even more valuable. Once the Dynamaxes are done, Incineroar becomes 10 times a better Pokemon than it was. It's already the most broken Pokemon in the game, but let it being able to Fake Out anything on the field at any time, that's broken. That's strong, especially in a Dynamax format. So conserving Incineroar is great. I just spring in Zacian because, again, there really aren't threatening Zacian. Their Mon to threaten Zacian is almost KO'd. So I'm feeling pretty good here. I do take a Spirit Break, which is a little bit annoying, but not the end of the world. I still have most of my Pokemon intact. Grimmsnarl is pretty healthy as well. I believe it only took one Spirit Break at this point. And yeah, so I'm kind of chilling here. This is a free potential Spout turn or O-Pulse. I think it's a Spout, though. I have a free Spout. Nothing can switch in onto it. Alecki will die. Kyurem will die. Or just Kyurem. Reshiram will die. So it's just a super safe play overall to press Water Spout. So Grimmsnarl is going to return and Reshiram will come in. So this is a free KO on a Reshiram, which is exactly what I wanted. All I have to do is Sacred Sword this P2 for free big damage. And like I mentioned, something has to die here. And I think my opponent properly does sacrifice Reshiram. I think it's a good sack. It's always useful in Pokemon to have a Pokemon that you can just throw into the fire, basically, when you need to get a free switch, and that's what my opponent does here. P2 goes for a cover, so, I mean, ultimately, I just did free damage that turn. Not punished in any way. I guess I burned a Rain turn, but I got a KO for the Rain turn. Now, at this point in the battle, I'm starting to get a little bit afraid of Porygon 2. Porygon 2 is actually in a really, really strong position, because Grimmsnarl's alive, and Alecki's alive. So I kill those two Pokemon. It's a 1v4 versus Porygon. But in reality, Incineroar and Grimmsnarl don't do anything to Porygon. Anything at all. So I have to rely on both these two Pokemon I have on the field to beat Porygon 2. So I'm relying greatly on them, which can get a little bit scary, especially when this thing's Volt switching around. So I'm taking a lot of damage here onto my two Pokemon to deal with P2. And so I'm a little nervous. I'm a little scared just because of how threatening a checkmate could be. Because P2 does run foul play. Kyogre just took a ton of damage from this Regieleki. So I'm not gonna lie, it's a little shaky here. I do go for Blade though to grab this KO onto Grimmsnarl, which I do get. It is weak to steel moves. And so yeah, I do get that KO. But now P2 is pretty healthy, has screens up, and can start foul playing, which is a big problem. I also do kind of misplay here. I go for a Spout. Well, I guess the Spout isn't really a misplay. I wanted to go for Spout because if they do attack Zacian in some way, then I'm still going to one-shot Aleki without missing. So I kind of said, all right, if they do punish my play, sucks for me. But if they don't, then I'm still in a great spot, all things considered. So now Zacian took a big foul play here. And this is where I start to get scared. I'm going to bring in the casters for a second here, because I think the casters didn't know something that I think is super crucial to the battle that does end up affecting how the endgame plays out.
A limited amount of recovers, you're going to be able to deal with it eventually in the endgame situation. You know, Porygon 2 can't do too much to the powerhouses that Colin has left.
No, it is going to struggle, but I think here it's a hard decision. Do you go for the Zacian, try and remove it from the field? But it's an easy protect here from Colin, whereas you could go for that safe kind of bet, knowing the item on that Kyogre. The Assault Vest it can't protect. It's an easy slot to attack into, but with you've got no options now to go for the Volt Switch to get it off the field, so you might be forced to kind of go after the Zacian here.
So this turn, I opted to switch in Incineroar because I expected Aleki to protect. I don't actually punish the protect, just in case it doesn't protect, because I want to KO Aleki. This is super important for me to do. If I KO Aleki, I can just focus all the damage on a P2 to win the game. But if I mess up the Aleki game and I take a free hit, I could be in a really, really catastrophic position. So my Incineroar switch covers for this protect, because next turn I'll threaten Fake Out onto the Aleki unpunished, because most likely my opponent will not foul play Kyogre. That's very, very unlikely. And if it does foul play Kyogre, I am still fine, because I can bring in Grimmsnarl, Scary Face, kill Aleki before it can even move. So this play covered for almost anything my opponent could do, even the protect here. So I opt to protect as well. I thought I attacked, but I actually did just protect by protecting my Zacian. So now I can Fake Out.
Yeah, it's a great play from Colin to just
it was a great play.
And get that Incineroar in, like you say, with that Fake Out now. And with the protect coming out from the Regieleki that last turn, it gives Colin the ability to...
So my plan was perfect except for one small detail. Double protect. And my opponent does get the double protect here, which is incredibly unfortunate. This is where the game starts to flounder. At the day of the tournament, I thought I played this endgame a little bit meh, but I actually played it pretty well. I'm actually really proud of it. I take back what I said. This game was played really well by me. But this is where it starts to get scary, just because of double protects and how much threat my opponent has with this P2 in checkmating me. But the double protect comes through. This, I think I should have Sacred Sworded P2, to be honest. I probably should have Sacred Sword P2 so that it would faint to Life Orb in a turn. That was, okay, I take back what I just said. I did mess up there. I did mess up. I'm not perfect. But I just need, the double protect was just something I wasn't ready for, and it just really threw off the pacing of this game.
Going for another foul play, trying to get rid of this Regieleki as quickly as
and Zacian's taking a lot of damage. Zacian took a lot of damage there.
And, now the Porygon 2 putting in a lot of work. I think it's going to struggle if its only attacking option is foul play to get the damage onto the Incineroar in particular. So like you said, it's going to be an uphill struggle for the Porygon 2 once that Regieleki goes down. But the Regieleki's sticking around. Lari's playing it very well, you know, to get it this far into the match and whittling things down. So it's getting closer and closer.
I'm at so low, such low HP there.
Pokemon are very low health at the moment.
Yeah, all the Pokemon have dwindling HP. It's going to come down to speed. Zacian going for the protect, and speaking of speed, Regieleki's going for that Electro Web, trying to lower.
So Web comes through here. I go for protect because I still have the ability to press Scary Face. That's what my goal is and what I want to do.
Both of them, you know, dealing that little bit of damage when they're so low HP could get you the KO, but not on Zacian, but it will on the Incineroar.
Yeah, and that's a nice pickup there, getting that.
That recover is so brutal for me as well.
So you can see here that the problem that Colin has is he doesn't have anything that outspeeds the Regieleki. It is dwindling in its HP though, and it has got the Life Orb, which if you can't knock it out, you know for a fact only a certain amount of attacks it can take before it will knock itself out. So the Grimmsnarl coming in here, it is going to be able to, you know, set up screens.
So this turn, I was confident in my opponent is going to press protect on Aleki. I was so confident I was willing to make this read and just punish this protect, because at this point, I was really starting to falter. Because one piece of information that I know is that most likely my Kyogre does not outspeed Aleki after Scary Face. Now, in the past, I've ran Kyogres that outspeed Aleki in Tailwind, but on this team, we opted for a much more bulkier Kyogre, And it was super important when you play against other Kyogres to be slower than them so you can Geyser while they Hailstorm if they try to kill Shedinja. So that was the decision we made actively to be a slower Kyogre, and it doesn't outspeed Alecki. So I have to deal with Alecki now, because if I don't deal with it now, it's just going to end up outspeeding my Kyogre even after a Scary Face or even after anything. I have to kill Alecki on this turn before Kyogre comes in, because I can't protect Kyogre either because I have Assault Vest.
And does it have some sort of speed control as well that it can...
And there's not much I can do here if Alecki protects. So I just have to punish this as much as I can.
Go for those life orb recoils and dwindle away at itself.
I set up Reflect to try and live this foul play.
But the issue is this Porygon 2 going for foul play. It is full HP, well, not anymore, but still looking pretty good. And the foul play, being able to connect down on that posing Zacian,
I was hoping maybe, but there's not much I can do.
And I mean, don't blame me for saying earlier, but I think I kind of ripped Porygon 2 off a little bit. It's now in a position where there's not a lot that, for example, the Grimmsnarl can do to it. If it can get another recover off, thanks to its natural bulk, it can be in a position where it can try and go toe-to-toe with this Kyogre.
So when I sent in this Kyogre, I thought the game was doomed. I literally was like, I don't know what to do. I have no clue how I'm supposed to win this game. Like, what am I supposed to do? I cannot speed with Scary Phase. Unless the Regielekki's not max speed, I guess. So I guess my only out is to Scary Face and pray to the Pokemon gods that they're not max speed Alecki. So that's what I opt to do.
Yeah, potentially, and you know, the Regielekki definitely threatens the Kyogre really.
It does.
Really there's no protect there from the Kyogre, so we know the Assault Vest is on that. So it's an easy target here for Regielekki to go into that.
Again, there's not much I can do. Like, I can't protect Kyogre, which normally is a staple in EDC.
Does have access to recovery. We've seen recover already, and all you would need to do is chip down a little bit onto that Porygon, the Grimmsnarl, a little bit at a time. But we do see Scary Face come out, and
and it connects. The Origin Pulse connecting and moving first thanks to that Scary Face speed drop. We'll be able to pick up the KO on both of these Pokemon. So Colin, with a cheeky critical hit for style points, able to claim game 1.
That is a huge turn there. The reveal right at the end as well of that match, just to pull out the Scary Face is a huge play, giving them...
I had no clue. I had no clue that was going to happen. I really thought the game was over, and that I lost game 1. But my opponent has a really, like, a modest, slower Alecki, and I outsped. I wasn't supposed to. I never thought I would, but I just wanted to try because that was my only win con I saw available. The game looks really clean. Like, if you thought I knew that Kyogre would outspeed the whole time, it looks like I had a plan the entire time. But in reality, I was just losing the game to that double protect, and I was so frustrated. But when I stole that game 1, I was like, I'm unbeatable. I'm winning game 2. So going after game 1, once I realized that Scary Face does allow my Kyogre to outspeed Alecki, I was all for leading Kyogre in game 2. They have no weather, they have no way to stop this torrential downpour that I possess. So I led Grimmsnarl Kyogre into Regielekki Grimmsnarl. This is such a great lead for me. Just because I know I'm faster than Alecki. They can't touch me anymore, baby. I'm faster than your Alecki with Kyogre. So I instantly adjust into game 2 with that information. Honestly, I was playing it cool the whole time. I was sitting in the chair like, yeah, exactly as planned. That was perfect. My opponent was like, oh, he's just fast Kyogre. He caught me, right? But in my mind, I was like, oh, I'm so lucky. So right off the bat, I'm like, it's time to do some damage, baby. Turn 1 max. Turn 1 max. Gas to the pedal, or pedal to the floor, pedal to the metal. I got it. Pedal to the metal, big damage time, Dynamax Kyogre. Kyogre gets ginormous, my favorite whale. I'll miss you, buddy. And we threaten a potential Scary Face at Max Geyser. But then my opponent reveals Fake Out, which I had no freaking clue my opponent had. And then he shows Thunder! And my Kyogre gets hit with a Thunder Fake Out turn 1. I didn't get Light Screen, I didn't get Scary Face, but I just got Smack Daddy turn 1 by a Thunder Fake Out. Completely blown away, honestly. And I didn't even kill Alecki because I thought, I was like, oh, I'm just going to get up screens and I'm just going to do mad damage to Grimmsnarl. But no, my opponent just Smack Daddies me with Fake Out Thunder. Didn't know either of those moves were on the team. It makes so much more sense for how they were playing in that last game. And now I know in game 3, I don't have to worry about Thunder Waves if that happens. So now, I have a really easy turn here. I can threaten Alecki with a Scary Face Max Geyser, and there is nothing my opponent can do about it. And sometimes, the threat of something is better than the actual pulling it off. Like, I don't have to Scary Face Max Geyser, but because I can, and my opponent knows I can, they have to be fearful. They have to be afraid. So that threat alone is really, really good, and it's giving me a ton of leverage in this specific situation. It means they can't max Aleki. They're forced to max Reshiram, which is good for me because I can deal with Reshiram. Aleki is more annoying when I don't bring my trusty Shedinja. So now Reshiram is going to get big, again, because they're threatened by my Kyogre. And they have to either protect or, you know, risk losing their Aleki here, which could be very, very detrimental. They are going to opt for the protect here to stop the Scary Face Max Geyser. But I still do, and I opt for Light Screen. Again, the threat of that alone is just huge. But, you know, I am still threatening a KO into Aleki, and Aleki's not necessarily killing me, but I do big damage to Aleki even behind the protect. And now since I have both the screens up, or I have the important screen up of Light Screen, into almost a full special team, I can easily just press Max Geyser plus Scary Face the next turn. And Grimmsnarl is tanking these hits, honestly. Grimmsnarl is getting real big. And since I KO'd their Grimmsnarl, all I have to deal with is a potential P2. Reflect isn't super duper necessary at this moment. This is a very special heavy team, and I think sometimes in this format you can get punished by running a very focused type of team just because the screen can be so freaking valuable. But P2 is going to come in here. I'm going to try to tank whatever hit I throw, and I will go for the Scary Face play this turn, just in case my opponent wanted to give me a free Regieleki for my upcoming birthday. So then it's going to switch in. I slam it with a Max Geyser, dealing tons of damage to P2. But more importantly, again, just threatening that Aleki, keeping my opponent honest. And then, again, this thing isn't doing any damage to me at this point. Like, it really isn't doing too much damage. They opt for Max Quake, which I kind of think was a misplay, because that was my last turn of Max. But it doesn't really matter. It does more damage, I guess. And getting Max Quake Boost onto P2 could be game losing. But again, at this point, there's no screens. So Zacian is sitting so freaking pretty. So freaking pretty. I have my Light Screen up. My Zacian is bulky. And I can now deal with this P2 in a much more meaningful way because there's no Reflect. And I know I can win this game. I'm feeling super comfortable here. All I gotta do is as much damage as possible with Kyogre, and then just pick everything off with Zacian. One of my favorite ways to play Zaciogre is to just max Kyogre, deal insane damage, and then in the late game, clean up with Zacian. But sometimes you can actually do the reverse. Sweep with Zacian, bring in Max Kyogre late game, and clean up with Max Kyogre. I just love this combo. I know it's so boring, and like I'm sure a lot of you hate Zaciogre, Swordfish, but I love it. It's so much fun. It was probably my favorite way to play Pokemon the whole year. I was a big Zaciogre fan the entire time. Huge Kyogre fanboy, and I just loved using it. It felt so natural to me. It changed the way a lot of my playstyles worked, but it worked really, really well for me as a player. And so I'm just really happy with the results I was able to achieve with it. But yeah, so they go for Max Quake, dealing, you know, as much damage. I set up Reflect here because Foul Play honestly does some decent damage, so I didn't really want to take Foul Play damage, and also I didn't want to switch either of my Pokemon just in case Trick Room were to go up here. I didn't want to switch into a Max Quake. I want my Incineroar as healthy as possible, so I don't want to switch in Incineroar onto this Max Quake because we don't know where the Max Quake is going. He Max Quaked Grimmsnarl one turn and then Kyogre, so I didn't want to risk Incineroar. At this point, Incineroar is more valuable than gold, so I need to keep that cat alive. So at this point, I'm feeling really, really good. Like, a Trick Room's up, which is fine by me, because that means Aleki is... I'm slower than Aleki, which is my dream. I hate dealing with Aleki. I want to be slower than it. I want to move first. And so now I'm threatening that because Trick Room's up. Trick Room doesn't really benefit my opponent, really. Like, Grimmsnarl and Incineroar are now both slower than Reshiram, which is huge for me. I can just spam Foul Play. So at this point, all I have to do is deal damage to Reshiram. If I deal damage to Reshiram and get the KO on Reshiram, Regieleki has to come in, and I can deal mad damage to Regieleki as well. So they offer Blue Flare here. It actually picks up the KO, which I honestly was a little bit surprised about, but it is Blue Flare. It does do a lot of damage, but I think the situation is fine. I know Reshiram can't protect. I know I can get free attacks off with Zacian here, because again, Reshiram cannot protect. So all I have to do is fake it out, and I can do whatever I want with Zacian. And I set up Reflect this time. So Zacian won't even be pressured by Foul Play, which was actually really obnoxious in Game 1. So now I'm threatening this Reshiram and this Porygon, feeling so good about myself. And yeah, the game state is just perfect for me. There's not much else to say here. This is just like how to close out a game 101, and this is something that I think every good player has to be good at, and it's something that I try to be good at, and I think I did do a good job here of closing out this game and giving myself a very advantageous position here to close this one out. Again, Fake Out is so valuable when there's no Dynamax, so I'm able to just keep pressing this Fake Out button, dealing damage to Reshiram, and also I get to attack freely with Zacian. Reshiram is a great mon, but I feel like sometimes it just can't carry its weight when it's not maxed. And like, as we see here, I do a ton of damage because there's no screens or intimidate, so my Zacian is just free hitting here. And now I know that I can threaten a KO onto Reshiram as well with Throat Chop. And if Reshiram switches out, Regieleki dies. So no matter what I'm really doing in this state, I'm in an amazing spot. I still have 2 turns left of Trick Room. I'm thriving in the Trick Room. Like, P2 is being annoying, but it did 30 damage to Zacian. I don't really care. It can just keep foul playing its heart away. And I don't really care just because Zacian is so strong in the situation. And I know Zacian can deal with P2. I know I can just fake it out if I need to. So the P2 is not even a threat this time. So I do opt for Protect here. I want to play this game as safe as possible. I don't want to risk anything. So I'm protecting Zacian because I wasn't fully sure if Throat Chop would KO. Honestly, I probably should have been more sure. But there's no point in risking the game here. I get the free KO on Reshiram, and I'm chilling. I still got the screens up as well, so I'm threatening just free damage onto P2 without really at risk of any damage. And now Rain's gone, so Regieleki's strongest move of Thunder won't even be able to hit my Zacian 100% accurately as well. So this turn's a really easy one. It's Flare Blitz into Aleki to guarantee the KO, and Sacred Sword into Porygon 2 to just start getting damage on it. It doesn't really matter. If I'm able to KO Aleki at this point, I should be able to just win the game. My opponent actually doesn't opt to protect Aleki for some reason, and my Wrestling Kitty decides to just destroy that little electric bug for free. I just get the KO for free, and that's it. That's all I needed to do. I'm going to slam the Sacred Sword into P2, and at this point, the game is curtains. Reflect ends, but so does Trick Room, and Zacian is able to take the win. This set was really fun to play on stream. I felt very dominant throughout it. I thought I played extremely well. Unfortunately, my tournament did not go how I wanted it to go. I ended up going 5-0 in day 1 to 5-3, which meant that I wasn't able to move on into the next day of competition, which was really unfortunate because I thought I was playing really well, but it wasn't meant to be this year. Maybe next year in Scarlet and Violet. I'm looking forward to playing more Pokemon. I'm not done anytime soon. So if you enjoy the content, I hope you stick around. I'm going to try to grow my YouTube channel and produce more content regularly, daily. And so yeah, if you like the content, please like, subscribe. It helps me out a lot. I do really appreciate it.